The throne room of the Valorian Empire glittered with bioluminescent crystals, casting ethereal shadows across the assembled court. Empress Anna stood at the center, her forearms crossed in the traditional gesture of contemplation. Her silver skin shimmered under the light, and her compound eyes reflected the faces of 100 nobles who waited for her decision. "You cannot be serious, Your Majesty," General Cross hissed, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "A human? As your consort?" Anna's gaze swept across the room, silencing the murmurs. "Jackson has proven his worth as a diplomat. He brokered peace with the Therian Collective when we were on the brink of war." "With words," Cross spat. "Words mean nothing when the Drakthar Armada arrives. They will see your human pet as weakness." Jackson stood beside the throne, his posture relaxed despite the hostility radiating from the court. He was unremarkable by galactic standards. A biped with only 2 arms, no natural armor, no venom sacs, no psionic abilities. His brown hair and green eyes marked him as distinctly Terran, a species most considered barely worthy of spaceflight. "The Drakthar will see what they want to see," Anna replied coolly. "The marriage proceeds tomorrow." The ceremony was magnificent. Anna wore the traditional armor of her ancestors, each plate inscribed with the names of conquered worlds. Jackson wore a simple black suit from Earth, a gesture that made several nobles sneer. When they exchanged vows in the ancient Valorian tongue, Jackson's pronunciation was flawless, earning grudging respect from the linguistic scholars present. The celebration lasted 3 days. On the 4th day, the Drakthar arrived. Their warships tore through the system's outer defenses like tissue paper, 500 vessels, each bristling with plasma cannons and antimatter torpedoes. The Drakthar were conquerors, a species that had crushed 30 civilizations in the past century alone. Anna stood on the command deck of the Imperial Dreadnought, watching the tactical display with mounting dread. Her military advisors shouted contradictory strategies. General Cross demanded a frontal assault. Admiral Vexna advocated retreat. Jackson stood quietly beside her, observing.
"They outnumber us 3-1, Anna said softly so only he could hear.
"Even our shield generators won't hold against that firepower." "May I make a suggestion?" Jackson asked. Anna turned to him, searching his face. In the weeks since their engagement, she had come to appreciate his analytical mind, his patience, his unexpected humor. But this was war, and humans had no reputation as warriors. Their contribution to the Galactic Council had been art, philosophy, and trade negotiations. Still, she nodded. "Let me handle it," Jackson said simply. The entire command deck fell silent. General Cross's laugh was harsh and brittle. "Handle it? Human, this isn't a tea party. This is the Drakthar Armada." Jackson's expression didn't change. He looked at Anna. "Trust me." Something in his eyes made her pause. There was a weight there, a depth she hadn't noticed before. Against every instinct, against every advisor screaming in her mind, she said, "Very well." Jackson walked to the communications console. "Open a channel to the Drakthar flagship. Visual and audio." The view screen flickered to life. Warlord Thrazul filled the display, his reptilian features twisted in a sneer. Behind him, hundreds of Drakthar warriors roared their battle cries. "Valorian Empress," Thrazul rumbled. "Surrender now and I will grant you a swift death. Resist and I will—" "Protocol Omega 77, Jackson said quietly. Thrazul froze mid-sentence. His eyes widened. Around the bridge, his warriors stopped their chanting. That's impossible," the warlord whispered. "That protocol was sealed by the Terran Protectorate centuries ago." "Clearly," Jackson said, his voice still calm, "it wasn't sealed well enough." Anna stared at her husband. "Jackson, what is—" "Computer," Jackson continued. "Execute authentication sequence Jackson Alpha 934 Tango." The air around the command deck shimmered. Every screen, every display, every tactical readout suddenly bore a single symbol, the emblem of the Terran Defense Corps. Not the diplomatic corps that Anna knew Jackson from. The military arm that Earth claimed they'd dismantled 300 years ago. "Authentication confirmed," the computer announced. "Welcome, Fleet Admiral Jackson Cross." Anna's forearms went slack. "Fleet Admiral?" Jackson turned to her, and for the first time, she saw him without the mask he'd worn. This wasn't a simple diplomat. This was a predator, a strategist, a warrior who had been hiding in plain sight. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," he said gently. Earth's policy is complicated. On the view screen, Warlord Thrazul had gone pale. The Terran fleets were disbanded. Everyone knows this. Jackson smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. We let you believe that. It was easier than explaining the truth. He touched the console, and the tactical display changed. New signatures appeared throughout the system. Dozens, hundreds. Sleek vessels emerging from stealth fields, from orbital shadows, from behind moons and asteroids. Each one bore the same symbol Jackson had just authenticated. Earth has been watching the galaxy for centuries, Jackson explained. We withdrew from active politics because we decided the other species needed room to grow. But we never stopped defending our interests. Or our allies. Anna found her voice. How many ships? In this system? About 800, Jackson replied. Across the galaxy? Enough. Thrazul's transmission showed the Warlord's bridge descending into chaos. His tactical officers were shouting reports. The Drakthar armada, so confident moments ago, was now surrounded by a fleet that had appeared from nowhere. Earth's weapons technology is approximately 400 years ahead of anything the Drakthar possess, Jackson said conversationally. Our shields, our targeting systems, our hull integrity, all far superior. We could destroy your entire armada in approximately 11 minutes. This is a trick, Thrazul snarled, but his voice shook. Test me, Jackson invited. Target any of my ships. See what happens. The Warlord didn't move. Neither did his fleet. Or, Jackson continued, you could turn your ships around, leave this system, and never threaten the Valorian Empire again, in which case you get to live. Anna watched, stunned, as the most feared warlord in the galaxy weighed his options. The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then Thrazul's ships began to turn. This isn't over, human, the warlord growled. Yes, Jackson said quietly. It is. The Drakthar armada retreated. Within an hour they had jumped to hyperspace. The Terran fleet maintained its position for another day, then slipped back into stealth, vanishing as mysteriously as it had appeared. In the Imperial chambers that night, Anna sat across from Jackson. Her mind still reeled. Why, she finally asked. Why hide this? Why pretend to be something you're not? Jackson poured them both wine, a Valorian vintage she'd introduced him to. Because humans learned a long time ago that being the strongest doesn't mean you should rule. We watched species tear themselves apart trying to maintain dominance. We decided we'd rather be underestimated. You could control the entire galaxy, Anna said. We don't want to, Jackson replied. We want to live in it, explore it, learn from it. But when someone threatens the people we care about, he met her eyes. That's when we remind the galaxy who we really are. Anna reached across the table, taking his hand in two of hers. You saved my empire. I saved my wife's empire, Jackson corrected with a smile. There's a difference. Outside, the stars wheeled overhead, and in the darkness between them, humanity watched and waited, as they had for centuries. The galaxy would continue to underestimate them, and Earth, as always, preferred it that way, until they didn't.